y'all. Or I guess noon for you mountain timers in America. Welcome to the Super Metroid Triple Bingo Tournament. We got a round 1 match. I believe this is game 3. Diddy versus Maniacal. We're just waiting for Diddy to ready up. See the the Diddy sprite. Unfortunately, he won't be using that in the race. I believe using alternate sprites is not allowed in the rule set. Which is a shame, but probably for the best. Be your commentator. It's just me today, so hopefully I do all right. We've also got Bison on the tracking. Yeah, we're just waiting for both runners to ready up. Shouldn't take too much longer. Hopefully Diddy remembers that he needs to ready up in race time, because he hasn't done that yet. Surely it will happen eventually. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is game 3 of the first round. I believe the winner will be facing Beef Robber, maybe? I would need to double check, which I guess I'll do right now. Diddy is readied up, so we will be starting in just a few seconds. But the winner will be facing P-Toil, actually. My apologies. Another very solid bingo runner. And just a second, we'll get our new card on the screen. Hopefully. There it is. Okay, so this is what we are doing today. There is quite a bit of lower Norfair on this card. Got the Metal Pirate Room, got an option to defeat Ridley. Got that Screw Attack as well, Norfair E-Tanks, Norfair Super Missile, Golden Torizo and Spore Spawn. There aren't a lot of seeds, there aren't a lot of cards where you want to be going down to lower Norfair. But if there is one, it's going to be this one. There's not a lot of... Michael stopped for a second there. Maybe just looking at the card for a second too long. But there's actually not a lot of Meridia, which is very rare. Besides that Spring Ball central tile, there's not a whole lot. But the fact that that tile is in the center is really rough if you're planning on doing a lower Norfair trip, because it locks you out of both diagonals. Plus, in theory, column 3, which is full of lower Norfair stuff, is not available unless you want to go all the way back up for Spring Ball. Plus, you would need to get the Gravity Suit as well. Getting Spring Ball without Gravity is technically possible, but is very slow and requires some shenanigans, if you will. I'm not going to be seeing either runner do that, I would imagine. You can see Maniacal in chat. I think both runners are in the Twitch chat right now. Maniacal having some choice words for the middle tile. It's probably going to dictate a lot of what the runners are going to have to do here. Unfortunately, both runners having a little bit of trouble with series. Diddy getting a 41, Maniacal going to get like a 38, it looks like. And part of that was just an unfortunate entrance into the last room. Part of it is because both runners are deep in focus, trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do in this card. And so a few mistakes is nothing to be surprised about. And it's also not really a huge deal. Being a few seconds behind in series is not going to make or break your run. Usually, I would tend to say this race, especially these early races, are going to come down to which runner is able to find a good route to commit to first. You really don't want to be going back and doing extra tiles, going back to get tiles that you could have done earlier. A lot of that slows you down a lot more than it feels like in the moment. And it already feels pretty bad in the moment. It ends up a lot of times being even worse than that. So whoever can really get a good route from the start, I think is going to be the favorite. Obviously, both of these runners are pretty evenly matched. I believe this is a game 3. Hopefully we can get that marked off on the restream. But either way, both of these runners have beaten each other once. That is what that means, as it turns out. So we'll see who can take it home and bring it to P-Toil in the coming rounds of the tournament. Shoutouts to the restreamer who got that updated in like 3 seconds after I said it, by the way. Look at them. There's a lot of weird tiles on this card. There's actually multiple spore spawn tiles, which I think is very interesting. Not usually something you'd want to go to, but with the amount of rows you can do limited due to that spring ball tile in the center, we will most likely see at least one runner do spore spawn, although going all the way down to lower Norfair and then going all the way back up to finish in spore spawn is probably not going to happen. It's not unreasonable, and honestly, if you're not planning on doing any of the deeper lower Norfair tiles, like say you're only planning on fighting GT, getting the super missile, getting Screw, not planning on going down to Ridley or Metal Pirate to get the E-Tanks, or just finishing in the Pirate Room, it's not unreasonable to do a lower Norfair dive and climb back up. It's hard to say exactly how you would want to route it, but it isn't too bad. Either way, doing a single Norfair trip is going to be pretty tricky, I would imagine. Either you'd have to do a lot of things before entering Norfair, which would take a lot of time since you wouldn't have any of the movement items you would want to traverse places like Wreck Ship and Brinstar to clean up all the stuff in green and pink Brinstar. Or you would have to go deep into lower Norfair with not a lot of health and ammunition, which can be equally as painful, except in this case, it is painful in a more literal sense, as you would be in a very dangerous part of the game with not the equipment you were intended to be in that part of the game with. So that's another thing the runners need to consider. If they can find a good single Norfair route, it's definitely probably what they should go for. I'm Maniacal having some trouble with the Alcatraz escape. Unfortunate. Does mean the runners are a little bit even up. Maniacal actually pulled ahead a little bit entering Bomb Teresa. Once again, not going to matter too much. There is no criteria map tile, or really anything in criteria at all. So we're not really going to get to see what the runners are doing just yet. Probably not going to know until much later. What I'm looking at right now, and I'm not sure exactly which rows or I guess which lines this would pair with, but potentially going down first getting your movement items in Norfair, going up to like get the statue potentially, and then doing a Brinstar cleanup with your high jump and your speed booster, and then going back down into lower Norfair. I think that's the route I'm looking at right now. I'm not sure exactly which lines would go with that route, but we'll see. Hopefully the runners see something that I don't. Like I said, I haven't really been studying the card as intently as I would hope both of the runners are. Looks like they are both getting that Brinstar reserve tank. So, both potentially looking at those 3 reserves. Not sure what they're planning on pairing with that. I think both lines... Well, the row and the column that has 3 reserves both have lower Norfair, and the diagonal has Spring Ball, so... Given the lack of Meridia in this card, I would imagine they're not doing TLBR, top left to bottom right, diagonal. Those who are confused with the terminology. Yeah, it looks like both runners actually got the missiles as well. And I know Maniacal got all the missile packs. It looks like Diddy skipped one? Skipped one or both, I'm not sure. Maybe he got them both, I'm not sure. Either way, both runners initially looking at row 5 is what this is telling me, because they picked up a lot of missiles and they picked up the reserve. So row 5 might actually signal a ship first, where they go up to the ship, get gravity, and then use gravity with the enhanced protection and easier access into lower Norfair to get into lower Norfair and complete the cards more safely. Which is, I like this. I like that if that's what the runners are deciding to do. Maybe I'm making too many assumptions, but that's what I'm seeing right now. We'll see if the runners decide to go up or go down. Maniacal actually going back. I think Maniacal's going back for the missile recharge. Like I said... Oh, never mind. This isn't so bad. Looks like he's going back for the Spore Spawn Super Missile. Neither runner going to commit to fighting Spore Spawn early on. Might be for the best. It is possible that one of the runners comes back to fight Spore Spawn later. Although I would say it's fairly unlikely. Diddy is going up. So yeah, looking at that gravity first, and probably going to be skipping Varia altogether. Meanwhile, Maniacal has another super pack. If he gets both of the Rex ship supers, that will put him at 20. So that gives him that column 2, row 1 tile, although there's more super missiles in the way. Could potentially be going for column 1, row 3, that super missiles and power bombs. And what that tile means is that his number of super missiles and power bombs has to equal at least 50. So, for example, 25 supers, 25 power bombs. Could also get 35 supers and 15 power bombs. And if he goes over, say he has like 40 and 20, then he still has the tile. He doesn't need to collect exactly 50. This is vanilla. Randomized bingo is not as interesting as you would think. It is kind of a mess because you don't know where anything is. And actually, Maniacal fighting Spore Spawn. Kind of interesting. He picked up the Spore Spawn super and then I suppose changed his mind and decided to commit to the fight entirely. A little bit of a mistake there, but unfortunately, he's also going for a slower strat on Spore Spawn. It looks like he's just going for a safe 4 round where he hits Spore Spawn with 1 projectile a round. Each round in Spore Spawn takes about 13 seconds for him to open his mouth. Looks like he got a 3 round actually, so saved 13 seconds, but if you're able to get 2 supers in the first round, you can do a 2-round fight, which saves another 13 seconds. So in general, that's what you want to do. Yeah, Maniacal. He's actually just going to go back. I think it would definitely be faster to go down the shaft, but maybe he's planning on going all the way back for the missile recharge. I'm going to be honest, I think Maniacal is struggling to figure out exactly what he wants to do here. Which, you know, like I said, this is an awkward card. Lower Norfair is basically required, which is very rare in a bingo card. So we'll see. Diddy, I didn't see if he saved or not. He is going across the ship, lining up for the CWJ. Unfortunately, jumped too late in both of his attempts so far. That one looks good. We'll see if he can get the wall jump. It is a 1-frame window instead of a 2-frame window because he did the in-room setup. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get it. Yeah, Maniacal got the missile recharge. Probably means he's going down to get Varia, although it's possible he gets gravity and then goes into Kraid's lair just to get the missile recharge. Since the other missile recharge is right above Kraid, or right above the room before Kraid. There's a nice little secret there that you can refill your health and missiles at casually. So we'll see what Maniacal decides to do. He definitely has a lot more objectives than Diddy has, due to him going back for a few of them in Big Pink. You know, he fought Spore Spawn, got the extra super missile, and got the missile recharge. So he's not in a terrible situation, especially if Diddy has trouble getting the CWJ. Been trying at it for a bit now. Hopefully he's able to get it soon. Looks like he's not comfortable with the HPJ because he's not even attempting it. And it looks like Maniacal is going to join him going up. Obviously, there is a way to skip LN on this card, but it's very unlikely that either runner is going to be going for it. It's not impossible. Don't get me wrong. But I would expect the runners to do it. Like I said, though, I haven't been studying the card as closely as the runners, so it's possible they see something that I don't. Potentially like a row 1 getting plasma instead of fighting Ridley. Yeah, for Maniacal, if he's doing like row 1 TLBR, that could work out. He needs to get something else. And he would need to get every reserve tank accessible since he's entering the ship without speed booster, so he won't be able to get the wrecked ship reserve. I could see it working out. We'll see if that's what he's trying to do. I'm not sure what else he would pair with that. Diddy in chat, lamenting his struggles with the CWJ. Unfortunately, he's given Maniacal quite a bit of time to catch up after Maniacal made some routing errors in Brinstar, you know, routing in the missile station and Spore Spawn a little bit later. He needed to go back for both of them, and he lost some time off of that, but Diddy, unfortunately, not getting the CWJ as quickly as he hoped. This is a very tricky maneuver. It's a frame-perfect jump into a 2-frame window if you're setting up outside of the room. And if you're using the setup inside of the room, you have to be in a pixel-perfect position, and the wall jump is a 1-frame window instead of 2. It's very precise. It's very hard to get consistent. Even the top runners aren't super consistent with it, which is why so many of the top runners are also comfortable with the HPJ, because it's a much more consistent backup. It's a lot harder to learn than CWJ. So CWJ is just timing some frame perfect button presses, whereas HBJ is a much more complicated setup. Maniacal actually getting the in-room setup first try, and just like that, Maniacal is taking the lead. Maniacal in chat saying he'll pause until Diddy gets the CWJ. We'll see if he actually does it. I wouldn't. Oh, he is. He's paused. Which you like to see it. Maniacal's definitely one for competitive integrity. He's, there's a lot of really dumb ways you can lose time. I do like this from Maniacal, even though it is a race, just waiting up for the opponent, having trouble with a very tricky strat. I think it's okay. Now we can devote all of our time to cheering on Diddy. He's having a rough go of things, but this is a strat that he has done before. He is very capable of it. He's actually going back to turn on Moonwalk in order to do the in-room setup easier. Because you saw what he had to do was actually walk forward to get to the right pixel in the door. They need to be as deep in the door frame as possible for the in-room setup for the CWJ. What he had to do was run forward, morph, and then turn around while morphing without moving, which is very difficult. I believe you can only press the directional input for 1 or 2 frames. So it's just another frame perfect trick, even if it's not as intense, since if you miss it, you can just line up again. But with Moonwalk, you just need to Moonwalk into the correct position. Moonwalk is much slower than just moving, so you're able to line up a lot easier. And so hopefully Diddy's able to get it, since he'll have more attempts, or more consistent attempts at it while using the Moonwalk. Oh, that jump looks good. Hopefully he can get the wall jump. There we go. There it is. All right, we should see Maniacal end pause in just a moment, as both runners will be setting up for their Fantoon fight. We did see Maniacal get the wreck ship super missile, so that brings his total up to 30, I believe. I think the missile counts you're seeing from both runners is their maximum, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, Maniacal is going to be entering Fantoon first. And immediately gets a fast. Pretty nice. I don't know how much health he has in reserves, but it can only take... Okay, now with that 1 small health, he can take 3 hits from Fantoon. His health was a little bit lower than Diddy's entering the fight. So Diddy might have a little bit of a safer fight, but Maniacal is getting pretty good patterns from Fantoon. That's his second fast. And that's a 3-round. I believe that was fast mid-fast from Maniacal. Well done. Now it's Diddy's turn. He's also gonna get the left fast opening. Look at this. Fantoon being nice to both runners today. Not gonna get it fast this time. Probably going to be a left slow. Does give Diddy time to farm up his health. Get to a more comfortable position. Maniacal is going for the right side super missile. So after getting the left side super, that will put him at 20 supers, as well as all 10 wrecked ship supers. We'll see what else he does in wrecked ship, but I imagine after getting the super missiles, he just bails. There is no wrecked ship E-tank tile. And there are 15 wrecked ship missiles. And to be fair, Maniacal did pick up the squeaky missiles, so it's not impossible that he goes for that. I believe Diddy picked it up as well. I wasn't looking at that. I will not lie. So it's possible he also goes for the wrecked ship missiles, but we'll see. Fortunately, Maniacal's actually a little bit low. You want a little bit more health to be able to make it across bowling. Does have that reserve, but his health isn't great. Yeah, Diddy also going for the wreck ship supers. Yeah, Maniacal is going back for the missile. Okay. So he is going for all 15. You can get all 15 without speed booster, of course. So that's not a problem. I'm not sure what they're looking to pair with that, though. They could potentially be looking at row 4. Getting Screw Attack and Norfair Super Missile. Both of those are in the same location. They're both right at the GT fight. 30 power bombs isn't super unreasonable if you're planning on doing like a Brinstar cleanup or even a lower Norfair dive. There's a lot of power bombs down there. You know, power bombs of shame and PBs in jail are both a little bit inconvenient, but both in your way if you were headed to Ridley. Or at least both in the area. Looks like Diddy is going to take a save. Remember, Maniacal, I believe, didn't save, so a little bit scary. So row 2, row 4, either column 2, column 4. I think if you're doing... My voice cracked, holy moly. I'm 12 years old, apparently. But I think if you're doing row 4, you're probably not planning on going deeper into Norfair, into lower Norfair. Maybe you do. I'm not sure. I was like with row 4, I would look at like a row 1 and potentially a column 1. Especially for Maniacal, he's already beaten Spore Spawn. It just needs to pick up a bunch of power bombs, which he can do cleaning up Brinstar. He does need speed booster though, so that makes things a little bit awkward. But he could theoretically actually end with a Brinstar cleanup instead of beginning, where he would theoretically end at like either Etakun E-tank or Waterway E-tank, something like that. I guess you couldn't do row 2 with that because there's the finish in Metal Pirate Room. That's what I'm seeing with row 4 is column 1. Maybe do column 5 with that. I don't know if that's the route Maniacal's doing. I actually don't think that's the route Maniacal's doing, but that's what I'm looking at the moment. we will see what the runners decide to do. So Maniacal gets his last wreck ship missile. I believe Diddy also went back for the other wreck ship missile. He got pretty low. You see Diddy now has to kind of farm his health back up for bowling, which Maniacal was able to do, I believe, in 2 jumps. So well done to Maniacal. He farmed up the extra health and didn't end up needing it, which always feels good. You know, getting the safeties and then being good enough to not need them. It feels bad that you farmed up in the first place, but at the same time, it feels good that you're able to make it across without the extra safety. Gives you a lot more feel good. Get that dopamine rush or something. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyways, Maniacal looks like he's actually going back to the ship. I think Maniacal's looking at column 2, so he's probably looking at a much deeper lower Norfair dive. He would need to fight Ridley to get all 4 Norfair E-tanks. Ooh, Diddy got across in 3 hits, I believe, so he's going to be at a critically low health total at the moment. But yeah, Maniacal is going to get his statue. He's going to be able to collect a lot of supers and power bombs in Brinstar if he so desires. It looks like he's also going for row 5. So you see his missile total there. He just refilled, so 45 is his current total. Looks like he's actually going for a Criteria power bomb. With this plus all of the power bombs in lower Norfair, that's 30. Well, all the power bombs in Norfair, including Crocomire. That would be 30. I don't know if that's the 30 power bombs you really want to be picking up, but we'll see what Maniacal has in mind. He could potentially pick up like an Edikun power bomb and either Retro Brin or Mission Impossible. That would put him at 25. He wouldn't even need to go to Croc then. He would just need to pick up PBs of Shame. And that would bring him up to 30. That also puts him at the 20 supers and 30 power bombs that he would need for that column 1 row 3 tile. Although I think he's going to be picking up more supers than that, to be honest. Is Maniacal doing column 1, column 2, row 5? No, because he can't do Waterway E-Tank yet. He's definitely doing column 2. He's definitely doing row 5. I think he might be doing row 2. I'm not sure though. Unfortunately, he went back to get the missile recharge, which is signal either he's not doing the diagonal because he's not getting spring ball. So that signals either row 1 or column 1, or row 1 or column 5 rather. And both of those are really awkward because he can't get the Brinstar E-tanks yet, and he doesn't want to go all the way back to Spore Spawn. He can't do that anyways if he's planning on doing row 2. Because he can't finish in 2 places at once. But even if he's not, he'd have to go all the way from the Ridley fight, the lowest point in the map, all the way back up to Spore Spawn. So I doubt he's doing that. I think he's probably going to do row 2. So row 2, row 4, column 2. Which I think somebody in chat pointed out, actually, and I said they weren't doing that, so oops. But that looks like Maniacal's plan. It means he will need to get his X-ray scope now, because there won't be a better time to do it. Which isn't too bad. He'll be able to pick up a few E-tanks here in Brinstar, even if he won't be able to get all 5. And with Gravity Suit in the vanilla game, spikes will only deal 15 damage, so he'll be able to get across pretty easily, even if he doesn't do the fancy D-boost X-ray strat. It's harder to say what Diddy is doing. I think he's doing row 5. That's all I got. I'm not sure. Fortunately, Diddy's had a rough go of things. Took a lot of attempts to get this CWJ. Lost quite a bit of time, even though some of the time was made up by Maniacal, pausing and waiting up. Unfortunately, it's harder to tell exactly what he's up to. Honestly, I think Diddy might be the one here that might be going for Spring Ball and more Meridia shenanigans, getting the Meridia reserve as well to get 3 reserve tanks. Potentially going all the way to Dragon, although I think that's unlikely. It looks like he's also planning on row 1, or column 2, I mean, with that Destroy Statue. He hasn't fought Spore Spawn yet. We'll see if he does it here in the second loop through Brinstar. But he's looking at like column 2, row 5, and once again, the next option is not great. Maybe he's also going for row 4. With that criteria powerbomb, that's the most likely case. This card is quite awkward. Both runners are actually going to be fighting Ridley. That's actually really funny. That's not something you're going to see in a lot of triple bingo races in this tournament. Both runners in a situation where they are going to have to fight Ridley. Which is why you see both runners picking up all these supers. They're both going to overcap on the super missiles and powerbomb style because they're going to be picking up 30 powerbombs and a lot of supers because they want the 30 super missiles to actually fight Ridley comfortably. Ridley takes 30 supers to defeat. Both of these runners are very established randomizer runners, so that's already the most comfortable way for both of them to actually defeat Ridley in the first place. So it looks like that's what both runners are going to be doing. Diddy in chat, hyping up the DLC, so maybe he's got a different plan than we realize. Gonna be fighting that Spore Spawn, so maybe he's also going for row 2. Guess we will see. Maniacal, meanwhile, setting up to get that X-ray scope. I believe he has 25 powerbombs at the moment, because he picked up Mission Impossible and the Edikun powerbombs, so even though he only has 20 in his current count, I believe he has 25, so he just needs powerbombs or Shame to get 30, which he will get on his way to Ridley. Yeah, Diddy fighting Spore Spawn. I think both runners actually changed routes at some point on this card, because both runners picked up the reserve tank, and I don't think either of them are going to be using it. But you could argue it was just a safety for early ship and for lower Norfair, so it's not like it's a bad item to grab. But I think both runners are actually going to be column 2, row 4. And unfortunately, Maniacal is quite a bit ahead on that front. We have some peace for just a moment. Both runners not doing anything too dangerous. Maniacal making it through X-ray. Like I said, with that gravity suit, he's never really in any danger, even if he's in a quote-unquote scary room. It is pretty scary, but not with gravity suit. even if you don't have any good way to cross it. Gravity Suit just does too much. Fortunately, it's this moment of reprieve for both runners. Not going to last much longer, as both of them are not far away from their lower Norfair adventures. This was a very interesting card. Like, I think the route I saw, which was like column 1, column 5, row 4, which I guess you'd have to do differently than I initially said, because that includes finish and spore spawn. So you'd actually have to do the lower Norfair stuff before going back up. Neither runner doing that route. Looks like both runners are going to be going much deeper into lower Norfair. Might be for the best. Not sure. Diddy going to be picking up that retro Brinstar powerbomb. I think that puts him at 30. I'm pretty sure he picked up Mission Impossible. Yeah, Bison, our tracker. Shoutouts to him, by the way. I believe this is his first time doing bingo tracking. He's doing a fantastic job. Yeah, he's marked off the 30 powerbombs tile for Diddy. Maniacal. Okay, I wasn't sure if he knew how to get through. I thought he had already gone to ice actually and was trying to get back out. I was wondering if he didn't know about the bomb block, because it's changed to a shot block in most randomizers. He actually needed to get the mock ball forward. Unfortunately, dropped it, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but either way, does get his ice beam. It's possible that he actually goes for column 4. For column 4. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he can really skip GT. So really all the time that saves is just ending at Ridley instead of ending at Metal Pirate. Or ending at Ridley E-Tank, technically. But it does save him like 30 seconds of backtracking, so that's nice. I actually didn't realize he had that row because he picked up the wreck ship supers, and a lot of the other stuff were things he was already going to do. So column 2, column 4, row 4. Most likely. Probably for both runners, but Diddy does need another E-Tank. I imagine he'll pick up the high jump E-Tank. I don't really see a world where he doesn't do that and enters lower Norfair with 2 E-Tanks. Just seems like a bad situation to be in. This has been a very fascinating card. I apologize, I haven't been keeping up the commentary as consistently as I'd like to, but this card's been very interesting. I think despite both runners maybe not having the cleanest performance, Diddy having trouble with his CWJ and Maniacal having a little bit of trouble with his early routing, this card is very weird, and you can't blame either runner for having trouble figuring out what to do. This has been a very unique race. Maybe not the most exciting race in the tournament, but definitely one of the most interesting. Unfortunately for Diddy, it's looking like Maniacal is pretty comfortably in the lead, but they are both going into lower Norfair. It's a very dangerous part of the map. And while I don't want to jinx either of the runners, anything can happen. We can all share in the deafening silence of this card. Maniacal, though, the calm is over. It's time to get to work. He's going into the jaws of the beast. He's headed on his way to Lower Norfair. Doesn't have the Varia suit, so he will take extra damage from this lava in the lava dive. Hopefully he doesn't bonk onto that flame. Looks like he's fine. He's in. The fun begins now. Michael, on his way to Lower Norfair, is going to have to do a gate glitch in order to go fight Golden Torizo. He doesn't have space jump, which is required to activate the statue to enter GT normally. So he has to get the gate glitch in 25 tries. Shouldn't be too hard, but it is a trick that sometimes just leaves you. Definitely not a guarantee. Gets a fourth try, though. So unfortunately, my efforts to jinx him were in vain, and he is able to get the trick. Well done. So he does get his screw attack. Can he actually avoid fighting? No, he has to get the Norfair super missile. I was wondering if we could actually avoid fighting GT altogether, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Hopefully he doesn't accidentally GT code Kappa. Unfortunately, you can't actually break those bomb blocks out of a wall jump with screw attack, so you kind of, unless you can get a full running jump from the other side of the room, you kind of have to use a power bomb. Unfortunately, Maniacal was actually using charge ice spazer shots for a second there on GT, and it looks like that's what he's going to need to do to finish off the fight, which is not going to be very fast, unfortunately. GT has a lot of health, and your charge beam shots do not do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he unloaded like 20 missiles into GT, so it's not as bad as it could be. But yeah, with no wave beam, your charge beam combo is a lot less powerful. There we go, Maniacal getting up to get the super missile. With the screw attack, he actually won't have too much trouble through Lower Norfair. Screw attack makes this area relatively easy. I don't want to say it's free, but for a runner of the caliber of Maniacal, who's very comfortable with randomizers and is no slouch when it comes to vanilla, even if he's not as fast as some of the other runners in the category, he's still, or in the tournament rather, he's still a very good vanilla runner. Having the screw attack means he should have no trouble through the area. So the big issue just becomes Ridley. So I don't think he actually has 30 supers. Well, no, that's not true. The 30th super was the super at GT. And it looks like Maniacal is going to go ahead and farm all of them. He's going to farm the last few later, which I think is a good idea. Now it's on to Ridley. Oh no, I didn't see what happened to Diddy. I think he got hit by a Namahe flame at the top of his gravity jump. He can take a hit from the flame. It does 50 damage. That'll put him at 11, and that will allow him to Crystal Flash. I don't know why he's so scared of it though. This is fine too. This is just as safe. But he didn't have to do this pause buffer. He could have just taken a flame hit, and he would have been low enough to Crystal Flash. But that's okay. At 45 minutes in, we do not have a single bingo. We aren't going to for a bit, actually. Maniacal won't get his first until PVs of Shame, which is still a minute or so away. Fortunately, once he gets one, he'll get the other two in pretty rapid succession. Once he beats Ridley and gets the E-Tank, he'll get the other two pretty much instantly, and then that'll be it. Unfortunately, Diddy is kind of relying on Maniacal making a mistake, which is not a position you want to be in. Maniacal not going to save, but with plenty of energy and an okay charge beam combo, plus plenty of ammo besides his super missiles, he's in a very comfortable spot for Ridley, even if he doesn't get the 30 super kill. Nice second try gate glitch from Diddy, by the way. And Maniacal's in a very comfortable position. And there it is, the first bingo of the card, almost 48 minutes in. We're in the home stretch. Meanwhile, Diddy, unfortunately, is pretty much doing the exact same thing as Maniacal at the moment. And with Maniacal being further ahead in this route, likely means Maniacal is going to be going forward to face P-Toil in the round of 16. Just needs to bring it home. Is actually only entering with 22 super missiles, but like I said, with this much health and supplementary ammo, plus a decent charge combo, Maniacal should be just fine. I'm gonna swap to the missiles real quick. If he uses all of his missiles, that will equal the 8 supers he's missing, actually. He needs 6 supers to equal a super, or 6 missiles to equal a super missile. And 6 times 8, that'd be 48. He missed 1 missile, but as long as he hits the rest, he still has 1 to spare. I assume he hit 48. Looks like he missed a second one. He's gonna supplement with some charge shots, actually. It looks like he might have missed more than I expected. Actually, I don't think he did. I think he was safe, but just wanted to wait till it really changed colors. Yeah, very safe fight for Maniacal. Not doing anything too fancy, but at this point, doesn't really need to. Just needs a few more charge shots to finish off the fight. He's got plenty of health. He can take as many hits from Ridley as he wants at this point. Diddy unfortunately didn't get the spark out of GT. Isn't doing the setup from the health refill, so it's actually just gonna bomb jump up. A little bit unfortunate. Maniacal is not picking up the E-Tank. He's actually gonna do row 2 instead of column 2. This doesn't change anything, but come on, man. What are you doing? Don't do this to me. Either way, Maniacal is going to dot done in first place with an official race time of 50 minutes and 47 seconds, and with that, he's going to officially make it to the second round of the tournament. We'll be facing P-Toil at some point in the future. GG. And it looks like Diddy's gonna call it. Hasn't forfeited officially just yet. Currently the two typing in race time, discussing the race. It was a messy one. Oh, wait, Maniacal didn't have the Crocomire E-Tank. I'm silly. He couldn't get that anyways. Well, I guess this was faster after all. Look at that. This is why you don't trust commentators with anything, because they are all dumb. All of us. We're all just... You put us in a race, we'll do fine. Put us behind the screen. Somehow we're dumber than the runners are. How does that happen? I don't know. Looks like Diddy is going to finish out the run. he does have to do the same thing Maniacal did. And of course, he doesn't have Crocky Tank either, so he will be finishing in Metal Pirate Room. No one knows what's on the bingo soup except for the chef. And hey, we got some fine chefs here that you just watched a fantastic race from. Maniacal, Diddy. Be sure to give them a follow, as well as Bison, our tracker, and me if you want to. I do stuff sometimes. Diddy. Not even gonna bother picking up the E-Tank in Firefleet. Doesn't need it. Just needs to fight Ridley. He's gonna be entering with more supers than Maniacal, it looks like. Probably going to have all 30, as long as he farms up a few and gets good drops from the Metal Pirates. Yeah, I believe this is going to be our only race for the day. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing any more bingo action until tomorrow. We do have a fun race tomorrow, I believe. I have to double check the schedule, but I believe, if I remember it correctly, we have Ashdor versus Ressingham, I believe, in the round of 16. Ashdor, of course, probably the favorite to win the whole thing. Watching him is always fun in pretty much any Super Metroid capacity. He's a fantastic runner, fantastic player of Super Metroid. Not much more you can say. Let me double check the schedule, make sure I'm not giving you bad information. Yeah, Asda versus Bressingham, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Before that, we'll be finishing up this one. Diddy just farming up his super missiles to get back up to 30. Let's see if he farms a couple more. Got a little bit trolled by the Idor. Hold on. Alright, Maniacal couldn't actually join the interview because he wasn't marked done. My apologies. So we'll be getting Maniacal joining in just a second. Maybe. Here he is. GG Maniacal.
Thank you for the GG. GG to Diddy as well. On my end, it looks like he's just starting out Ridley, so he's just about done.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. Yeah, congratulations. I missed the first two races in this series, but I really just want to talk about this card. This was a really interesting one, so I want to know what your personal thoughts were.
I mean, if I can first reflect on sort of the whole set, all three of our cards sucked. All three of our cards were just absolute disasters. I got fairly lucky to decipher the first one pretty well and like still ended up with like a 44, which I felt was like a very good time for the card. And then like the second one was confusing as all get out, and I was confused by this one as well. You saw me like go back for Brinstar missile recharge, and I couldn't figure out what I could and couldn't do. Even for a long time I was looking at column 1, but then I was like, I don't want to double Norfair, so I don't want to get speed, and then that took out row 1 as well, but I was already like doing the Brinstar recharges. It was a bit of a hot mess early.
Yeah, it happens. I think the worst part about this card was that middle tile, the spring ball, which didn't synergize with anything else on the card because it was all lower Norfair.
Exactly,
I
dude.
thought that was rough.
It was just crazy. Like I saw the spring ball, I was like, okay, guess I'm doing that because it's middle tile, right? Like there's so many options with middle tile because it's in 4 rows. But then like as I parsed the rest of the card, like there was nothing that went with it.
Meanwhile, Diddy has completed his race. He made it back to the Metal Pirates. Time of 57:09, I believe. 57:11. My apologies.
But yeah, if I'm being honest, like I didn't settle on what rows I was doing until I spent a few minutes paused in the middle of the race. And then I was like, okay, I can read this card now.
That's how it happens sometimes. But we do have
GG Diddy.
GG Diddy. Sorry, things maybe didn't go as well as you wanted to, but you still put on a great performance. So, kind of want to ask you the same question as Maniacal. What were your thoughts going into this card when you first saw it?
I first saw the spring ball in the middle square and I was like, that sounds heavy Meridia card. What's the way to not go to Meridia? And finally it was a heavy lower Norfair seed.
Yeah, just because like there was nothing that went with it other than like collect plasma, and there were a couple things that like the 3 reserve tanks you can reasonably think of as a Meridia tile, and the power bomb collection lends itself to Meridia, but there wasn't a lot else, and those are all like very soft Meridia things. And then the lower Norfair tiles like the GT, Finish and Metal Pirates, like they screw attack, they were kind of spread in more devious places, so there just weren't a lot of good rows around them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So you said, Maniacal, you said when you really committed to the route you were taking. What about you, Diddy? When were you sure that the column 2 or column 4, row 2, row 4 was the route you wanted to go for?
Really early. I mean, I was on row 2, row 4 at the green Brinstar reserve tank. I was not sure if I were to do column 2 or column 4, and when I saw that one required to do croc and the other was basically already done when you were at relay, I'd say, okay, let's go for column 4. That also allowed to take wave, which I ended up not taking.
Yeah, both ended up doing the exact same tiles actually. It's kind of cool to see. But yeah, Maniacal, you are going to be moving on to face P-Toil. So how are you feeling about that one?
Honestly, I haven't seen as much of P-Toil's play. I mean, very highly seeded runner in this tournament. There was kind of a pretty big cluster of folks sort of in that range, though, and he kind of ended up sort of on the top of a pile from seeding. And obviously very good runner. So I'm interested in the matchup. I don't know a lot about P-Toil's tendencies as a player, so that'll be interesting. But since it's not dab, like you just kind of are playing your own game, and my game has been very rocky, as would be evidenced by the first 20-ish minutes of this race. So, you know, I'm hopeful but not optimistic about the matchup, I'd say. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. Triple Bingo is a ton of fun to play. It's super chaotic. It hurts my head all of the time, but you know, I enjoy that about it.
Yeah, when in double and tie bingo, you only have to think about one set because one is forced and you only have a second one to think. In triple, you have all three and to pick, and that's so much more thought process during the run.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying I'm biased or anything, but I do wish you the best of luck against P-Toil as a slow alumni.
Well,
But
appreciate it.
that is going to do it for us. Do either of the runners have any final thoughts?
No, it's just GG Diddy. I don't know who your next opponent will be. I haven't looked at it yet, but looking forward to that match.
There won't be any opponent since I lost. It's a single elimination.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought this was double. Oh my god. I'm sorry, dude. Well,
No problem.
GG's. I'm in so many tournaments right now, and they're like Swiss and double, and I don't even know. But either way, definitely really enjoyed our 3-game set.
Yeah, it was fun, really.
They were.
I wasn't expecting to win any match, so I'm glad with one win.
The way that one came was pretty hilarious. I absolutely deserved to lose it. It was, that was a good race, though.
Yeah, CAD was really interesting to root.
All 3 of them were very interesting.
Yeah, all 3 of them were very interesting.
Yeah, I don't have anything else too much to say, but thank you, Derp, for the commentary, and Bison for the tracking. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I want to give a shout out to Bison. It is his first time tracking bingo, and he did a fantastic job. But that is going to do it for us. If you're looking for more triple bingo action, then be sure to tune in. I'm not sure which speed gaming it's going to be on, but Friday at 3 p.m. Be on the lookout. Until then, we will see you next mission.